Rob and Christine or something like that.
Okay.
All right, 6:31, sir.
Call the meeting to order. Motion to resume the public session. Motion, please. Ms. Unsing and Dr. Richards. All in favor? The vote is unanimous. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Moving on to GC Press Awards. There is.
Good evening, Superintendent Daly and fellow board members, members of the audience. My name is Rob. I'm on the school board. I'm also a police officer with the Gates Police Department. I am here tonight to present a Spartan Pride Award to somebody in the room who I had the chance to meet about 7 years ago. I was your first school resource officer. I started 7 years ago in the district, and I argued back and forth with John Soderman, who I saw here, one of the security officers for a while, to get some office space so that I could do my job. Finally got that space, and about 2 weeks after that, I ran into a gentleman who was going to be the recipient of the award, who took over my space, kicked out my desk and my filing cabinet, and kind of took over it, and has been here ever since for the 7 years. This guy's got GC spirit at heart. He's worked hard with this district to do a lot of good things, including this facility that we're standing in today. A little while ago, he actually gave us a nice guided tour of the future building an area down towards the cafeteria. So with that, I would like to present Lester Roberts with a Spartan Pride Award. Lester was assigned to this district on multiple projects over this last 10 years. And this team has greatly impacted our community, all of our children, the staff here, and anybody who's ever used any of these beautiful facilities that we have in town. Today on the tour, he showed us all the way from the roof to the floor, explained all the process that was going on, and he's been that way ever since. So I don't see Lester. I don't know where he went.
He's hiding in the back.
But he's hiding in the back. So Lester, come on up here. No, you kicked me out. But on behalf of the board, who I normally would never speak for, but I believe we all appreciate your hard work and your dedication to the district. So thank you.
And be patient with questions. You need to talk.
Moving on to seal by literacy recognition.
Good evening. We are so excited to be here tonight and honor these students in person, which we were not able to do last year. My name is Katie Kuhn. I'm the coordinator of educational programs. So one of the programs that I oversee is world language and also SL English as a second language. So the seal by literacy, we want to just give you a little bit of information about the requirements, what these students had to do to earn the seal. So if you were here with us a few years ago, we started this 3 years ago, but it's a New York State seal that goes on their diploma to recognize proficiency in another world language in addition to English. And this is something that's actually a national seal, but then each state takes the requirements and makes them their own. So it is a New York State seal that they're going to get on their diploma. So it's recognizing that proficiency with another language. So they have to prove that they can listen, read, write, and speak proficiently in both languages. So when students apply to earn the seal, they have criteria that they have to meet for English as well as their world language. So some of the things that they had to do are listed up here, and there's a combination that they can earn their 3 points. So many of these students had to earn an 80 or higher on their ELA regions, and that was exempted last year for a lot of these seniors. So they still got their point because of their average in English. So their averages in their English courses for 11th and 12th grade and their world language courses had to be 85 or higher. And then the biggest thing that most of these students did was a culminating project. And it was really impressive to see some of them present to a panel in another language fluently and then answer questions from the panel that they maybe weren't prepared for about the topic that they were presenting on. We also have students who earn that seal where their home language is not English. So in that case, they have taken coursework with us in Gates Child, so they get points usually by taking a national exam. We have a few students, and I'm not sure that they're all here with us tonight, that did have to do that exam on the computer and to prove proficiency in their home language and then also English. So these are some of the ways that they earn those points, but all of them had to present to us, and they also have a senior English project that they had to be proficient on to earn this. So we have 16 students this year. This is our 3rd year. And Mr. Hamill was just asking me, I think our first year we had 14 or 15. Last year we only had 9. And last year, because of COVID, we weren't able to recognize the students in person. We actually delivered their certificates to their homes. But we have 5 languages represented this year. We have 1 student here tonight who actually is earning the seal in 2 languages in addition to English. We have 3 students that earn the seal in their home language in addition to English. And then we also have several juniors that you'll see next year that have already applied. Because this process, really, these students have to start thinking about it in 10th or 11th grade with their coursework to make sure that they get to a world language that is a high enough level. They have to get to level 4. Many of these students got to level 5. So they have to really think about it as they're planning their coursework. So we already have some of those juniors that have applied for this. So what they will get is on their diploma, they'll have a seal from the New York State Seal by Literacy Committee, and then they'll also have this notated on their transcript. One thing that's really important to note for these kids, since there's just 15 of them, they really have risen to the top. This is something that they really have to be intrinsically motivated to do, because these students are earning this tonight. They've already applied to their colleges, they've already been accepted. So this really is just them being intrinsically motivated to do this for themselves, because they really couldn't add it to their college applications. They can say that they were a candidate, but they really can't earn it until the end of their senior year. So we're really proud of them for sticking it through. So I'm going to just ask our world language teachers, we have many of them here tonight, and this, although I oversee the program, I could not have done it without these teachers, because when the kids come to present and they're speaking in Italian or Spanish or French, I don't speak any of those languages. So our teachers really help the students. They serve as advisors. They meet with them while they're working on their independent projects. And we have several of them here tonight. So they'll be helping me kind of give out some of these awards. And the students' names will be up here, but we're going to go through them in alphabetical order. There are some, I know there are some students who couldn't be here tonight, so we'll make sure that they get their certificates and their cords. So what they're getting tonight is a certificate from New York State. They're also getting a mug that you'll see it says, I'm bilingual, which is superpower, and they're getting their honor cord for graduation, which they'll wear for graduation ceremony. So they're getting those things tonight. So we'll call them up, and then after we have everybody up here, we're going to have the students and families go downstairs for photos with Eva. Okay. So Elise Christopher, I know Elise is here. Elise has earned the seal in Latin and English. And next we have Brendan Culhane. So Brendan has earned the seal in Italian, Spanish, and English. You have a cord in your mug that this can actually get to.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. I don't think Yvonne is here. Mrs. Mullen, did you see Yvonne Flores? So Yvonne Flores has earned the seal in Spanish and English. She's not with us tonight. Michael Furno. Michael here? Michael has earned the seal in Spanish and English. Nadine Herwig, Spanish and English. Aaron Kais, Latin and English. Ryan Kellner, Spanish and English. Dominic Pippa, Italian and English. Loxley Millwood, Latin and English. Some of these students, Loxley is just reminding me that they were fully remote this year, and so they presented to us via Teams. Loxley was one of those students who just reminded me that they had to do that as well. Amber Oldfield, Latin and English. I didn't see Amber. Brianna Pavone, Spanish and English. Leah Perry, Spanish and English. Congratulations. Taras Pomega, Ukrainian and English. Sydney Simpson, French and English. Michaela Sudlow, Spanish and English. And lastly, we have Samson Valdez, Spanish and English. Thank you all for being here. We're so proud of these students. Like I said, to only have 15 that were actually able to see this through. The students had to really work independently with me. I'm not even in the high school all the time. They had to, respond to my emails, sign themselves up for their appointments, and take responsibility to do this really independently, meet with their advisors. So we really are very proud of all of these students. So just one more round of applause, and then we'll have them go downstairs.
No, there are none, sir.
Thank you very much. Moving on to board president comments. Well, we've got 2 weeks left. Okay. I think everybody should take a moment to take a look where we're at, look behind us, and we've had a heck of a year. It hasn't gone exactly how every one of us would have imagined, but I think overall, seeing all the activity in the district and our staff and teachers rising to the occasion, I think it's a moment, to take a moment to recognize that we got some excellent people here supporting the students. We got outstanding students that have risen for adversity, and I'm sure a bunch of seniors that are glad to get moving on to the next phase of their life. So, hold on. Any board president comments? Moving on to points of interest. Do you have any points of interest? Ms. Kais? Nope.
Bless you.
I had the pleasure of attending the end of the year band award ceremony. Usually band banquet, because of current circumstances, we did it outside in the field house. It was lovely to watch, love to see the jazz band play for the last time, so choir perform, and all the kids got awards and scholarships.
I actually just want to, and it was a meeting, but really not on our agenda of other meetings, but I just wanted to say for the counselor advisory committee that we had a wonderful meeting, and I know I'm always asking tons of questions for the council department, but they did a wonderful job expressing the changes and things that they have to do this year to accommodate our students, and I think it was just good to see and hear from that perspective of making sure that they were trying to dot every I, cross every T when it came to our students. So for me, that was like a wonderful experience.
Thank you very much. Any other points of interest? Okay. Moving on to reported meetings. Reported meetings? Nothing? Okay. Moving on to visitor comments. We have the people here in this room. Okay. So again, shall Los Angeles School District Board of Elections invites public comment at this time. Please limit your comment to 3 minutes or less. We ask that individuals state their name and address prior to comments. Utilize the podium microphone to address the board. Although the board will not respond directly to individual comments at this time, items brought to the attention of the board may be taken under consideration for future response or action. In order to comply with laws related to confidentiality, we ask that issues related to specific specific school district personnel or students be brought to the attention of the superintendent of schools prior. The board reserves the right to terminate the speaker's comments if his or her comments are in excess of 3 minutes, repetitive, or not appropriate for discussion in a public forum.
Sarah Mull. Hull, I'm sorry, I apologize. Sarah Hull.
Sarah?
Oh, lovely. Thank you. When I practiced, it was just a touch over 3 minutes, so I'm gonna do my best. All right. Good evening. As you can probably tell, I did not use my public speaking class in high school, but I feel very comfortable speaking in front of a classroom of students, so I'll do my best to picture you all as first graders. I would like to make my voice at least heard, and I hope that is considered. Many parents in our district are not making their voices heard, and that worries me. I've been told that they think you don't care. That worries me. That worries me. I want to thank you for donating your time and energy to being on the board. As a parent, I entrust you with my child's education. I'm a part of my children's amazing school in many ways, including being a building substitute, a volunteer, pre-COVID of course, and the vice president of our parent staff group, the FBFA. Looking ahead to next year, I've been excited to be nominated and voted in as the incoming president of our FBFA. I'm feeling conflicted though because of so many unknowns in schools. That's not new. Everything's unknown. I get that. I'm a planner. I'm trying. Mr. Daly has previously said that schools will be open 5 days a week in the fall, and I sincerely hope that sticks. Again, unknowns. I get that. If there needs to be a remote option for families, I totally understand that. I support that. I'm trying to support options. I hope that the community of families is provided with information and even discussion, not just because I said so. My kids love to do that. The survey a few months ago showed an overwhelming amount of families that wanted kids to go back 5 days and then were allowed 4. I'm not sure why 4 days is safer than 5, but we've moved on from that point. Will there be a survey about masking and vaccination options in the fall? What if it's an overwhelming majority of families, of parents, again, that are disagreeing with what's going on? Or are we just going to be told, sorry, again? I had a friend just today comment to me that it's just a piece of cloth and there's no long-term effects on, and there's no long-term effects on kids with COVID-19 yet, so they support wearing masks. That's simply put. First of all, my kids touch their face more with a mask on than they do without. I don't know about you guys. I have little kids and they're constantly adjusting it and fixing it and putting it over. Yeah. Anyways, you can't disagree with the lack of studies. That makes sense. I can add though, there are also no long-term studies done on masking children all day, even during gym class, even when they're sitting down. My kids come home with wet masks, especially recently with the heat. I tell them every morning, change it after lunch. I pack them multiple masks. I tell them change them. And they're little and they don't think about it. I'm curious to know how long-term effects of inhibiting their breathing. I'll tell you this, I'm scared to know the long-term effects of our immune systems getting, or not so much mine, an adult, our kids' immune systems. They're getting zero practice. That makes me nervous. The common cold is gonna take out a whole class. I'd also like to know long-term effects of the vaccine that our governor is pushing incredibly hard right now on every living person. If the governor says that as a guideline, are you going to recommend it, or not recommend, are you gonna mandate it? There's no long-term research for that either. There's no long-term research for anything. So mandates, it's hard. It's hard for me to take mandates because it's emergency use only. Looking at the CDC's COVID data tracker from May 8th, because it's their most current date with all the information available, kids that are 6 to 13 years old, school age, 80 out of 100,000 children have tested positive. That's 1 out of 1,250. And 0.00 out of 100,000 have died from it. Of kids aged 14 to 17, 121 kids out of 100,000 have tested positive. That's 1 out of 826. And 0.01 out of 100,000 have died from it, or other cases along with it. That's 1 out of 10 million. I'd love to know the rates of long-term effects, but that's not tracked, obviously. I think one is one too many, but there are so many other common causes of death that scare me more for my kids. Out of all of Monroe County, there were 8 new positive cases today of children 0 to 19 years old. 8. Why are kids in New York still wearing masks? Give parents the choice. Allow people to wear them. Allow people to not wear them. 30 states give parents that option. I know you're probably thinking, just move. There's so many great things about New York, I don't want to do that. Do the same for vaccines in the fall. Suggest it. Recommend it. Don't require it. Let's be proactive instead of waiting. What can we do to be proactive for our kids? Whether you prefer them or not. What are you guys doing? What can we do to be proactive for our kids? To help all families feel comfortable. Support options. Everyone just wants the best for their kids. Nobody's perfect. You'll never get everyone to agree on one path. I get that. You made plenty of options this year, plenty of changes that have never been seen before. We can keep doing that. Numbers are so low in schools and also in the community right now. It's never going to be 0. If we need to, we require them in hallways like we do in restaurants. I can't tell you what to do. I obviously don't know what to do. But I am wondering what would happen if you don't follow the guidelines. Guidelines, not follow guidelines. Will the state pull your funding? Like that's obviously a concern. I want my kids to get a quality education. But would they do that for supporting families that would like a little bit of choice? Will they shut you down? Will they shut you down? I'm actually curious about that because I'm concerned. I love this district. I love my children's school. Teachers teach kids to be critical thinkers. Let them teach kids that having a difference in opinion is okay. My daughter told me today that she left her mask on at recess in the heat because she doesn't know how far 6 feet actually is and she didn't want to get in trouble. That's fear. I teach my children to be respectful to adults, to listen to adults, but to stand up for themselves when they need to. I'm almost done. CDC.gov states that exposure can occur from inhalation of air carrying very small droplets and aerosol particles that contain infectious virus. Risk of transmission is greatest within 3 to 6 feet of an infectious source, where the concentration of these very fine droplets and particles is greatest. It also states that people are exposed by touching mucous membranes and can be reduced by hand washing. That's nothing new. But the first part, 3 to 6 feet. Students are spaced apart 3 feet as of April, correct? Right? So why do they have to wear masks when they're sitting down 3 feet apart? Please don't require this in September. Suggest it, recommend it, please don't require it. Medical experts have said that masks are for sick people. If that's the future, I wouldn't be surprised that occurs in some countries. But let's figure things out together as a community with input and the possibility of options made available to families. Please don't segregate our kids based on use or non-use of vaccines like what's happening with adults. Adults are more prone to getting COVID in the first place, not kids. More data will be continually collected, guidelines will always be changing, but let's move forward. Please don't punish our kids next year. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We have one more visitor comment that I will read from Tara Perarati. The Gates Child School District has been complicit in denying our children education, contributing to the decline in their mental health, and most recently in knowingly jeopardizing the health of Gates Child students. They have done so under the guise of being required to do so by New York State and or Monroe County. Depending on who you ask, the finger will get pointed at different entities. One thing that can be assured is that the Gates Child School District will never hold themselves accountable. If we take you at your word, the district and the board have allowed this abuse of our children because they are required by New York State to do so. I am interested, do you have limits? How much harm will you allow to be inflicted on our children before you will say enough is enough? You claim to be constant advocates for our kids, but evidence of that claim is thin. I have spoken to the New York State Assembly members, Meeks and Bronson, and Senator Cooney. All legislators are aware of what challenges are and why our kids are still being held out of school. How can you claim to be constant advocates, yet the people who theoretically legislate are in the dark? Can you please let the community know the points of your advocacy efforts? What are you asking for? Who are you asking? I was thrilled to hear Mr. Daly assure the GC community we will be open for full-time instruction in the fall. I think the events of last week let us know that the assurance is meaningless. Mr. Daly is unwilling to stand for our children and community despite the lunacy of New York State. He claims to lack authority to do so. How can he assure us of the fall? We have seen that the state can be fickle at best. If schools will be open in the fall, Gates Child will need to start standing up for our kids and community in the face of New York State's craziness and evil. Our kids and community depend on it.
Thank you very much. We have one more comment. Is there a comment? Susan Goodman. Please stay within 3 minutes.
Short, very short.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you for letting me do this last minute. I'll be very brief. Good evening, my name is Susan Goodnow, and I reside at 777 Marshall Road. I've been in the district since before my children were born. You received an email from me on Monday, which was something very hard for me to do, because I kept my daughters home from school that day because of the continued mask mandate. I said in my email to you that we, meaning my husband and I, were aware that you are not individually responsible for the ridiculous continuation of these mask mandates, but you are collectively. You don't stand on this issue for the 4 Sparkaway values. You don't respect the rights of the students and the parents by allowing them to have a choice. You don't take responsibility and you blame your decision on the governor, the health department, and the CDC. You've shown zero compassion for the students who have to wear the mask all day long. I know I don't wear a mask all day long. I know a lot of people that work all day long and don't wear a mask all day long. And you certainly have not done the work when it comes to resolving this issue. Other districts in our area and our state have ended indoor masking with the same information provided to Gates Child High School District. I've been in Public, I've been in Home Depot, I've been at Wegmans, I've been at Aldi, I've been at the gas station. And I've seen there's way more maskless people there than there are masked. My family doesn't mask when we go to these places. The only place they mask is at school. And I know you're going to these places too. I've seen similar faces. I know that my kids have seen teachers and they're not masked when they go to Wegmans, when they go to Home Depot. Please, stop the hypocrisy on this. Stop the physical and mental abuse on our children. Let them breathe like God intended. Stop the mask mandates for our children, please. Thank you.
Moving on to capital improvement updates.
I'm not that good at catching. Good evening. All right, I already presented the high school auditorium, right? We're done with that one. Nice tour. The other thing I did want to say is in the notes here, it says that the reseating is only 50% complete, but that's, if you can see now, sure that's when this was made. Anybody have any questions from that tour? Anything? What's coming up for the month of June? Masons will finish the thin brick on the front. Ductwork is ongoing. The roofers will start the edge metal because they're kind of waiting on that ephes blue color to be done around, and then they'll follow and cap that off. Metal stud framing and drywall is ongoing. Interior painting, we actually have 3 painters on site now. They're gearing up a little bit. We have enough walls completed for them to do that. The stairs in that elevated spot will be poured, and we'll get the rest of that scaffolding built. That's scheduled for sometime next week, or at the end of the week, and then they can start working on the entire ceiling. Couple pictures you got there, looking from up above where we all were this afternoon, looking down on the raised seating. At one point, there was 23 guys down there below in that lower picture pouring that concrete out. It was pretty impressive to watch that. I don't know how many are in that picture, but they have 23 innings where there's 23 guys on site that day. You're averaging out there somewhere between 50, and we had as many as 84 guys, construction workers out there. One day, that whole entire parking lot out there was full of construction workers. The letters, lots of people have talked about the signage facing 490. If you haven't seen it in the evening or the dark, that looks like it didn't work the other day. It was still dark in the morning, and it was lit up really nice. Because, yeah, I'm glad that somebody suggested we went with 1 foot higher letters. Because it shows up a lot better. And then the picture down below is the, up there where the frame is ceiling in the auditorium. Does anybody have any questions about the auditorium piece? Anything? Andy? Had to ask one more time. All good. 1.6, we didn't have any pictures this time with the Armstrong wall building, because in the last month, we really did a little asbestos work. We turned the Neil Armstrong wing over to the principal and staff, so we really haven't done anything. The GC has in the last week and a half demoed the old office area at Walt Disney. He's moved in. Had Neil Armstrong doing the same thing, and we got some abatement work we'll do up there in the next couple of weeks. So the next board meeting will have pictures for that, new spaces. That seems to be going along good, and everybody's saying that one will be done before school starts, even the other spaces. The only thing that I know on that project that is back ordered, right now, interior doors are 16 to 18 weeks out. So we'll have to put some temporary, there's like 5 ones all at Neil Armstrong, we'll put some temporary ones in, but other than that, it should be all good to go. Anybody have any questions for that?
Sir,
All right, guys, thanks. Thank you, sir.
thank you very much.
Thank
Moving on to finance and facility update. Dr. Ball.
you.
Okay, the first thing that the Finance and Facility Committee talked about at the meeting on May 17th was the tax cap review by the Office of the State Comptroller. They were auditing our tax cap to make sure it was in compliance, an update for the group here is that the tax cap calculation was found to be in compliance with regulations, so that's good news. Claims auditor report, we just went over the claims auditing dashboard for the first quarter of 2021. The committee was pleased with the results, noting a positive downward trend in issues over prior quarters. We talked about special education count review for foundation aid being done by school aid specialists who come in and audit our numbers to make sure that we're claiming the appropriate number of students for the purpose of getting foundation aid, because special education students are counted at 1.4 times as part of the calculation for foundation aid. From a facility perspective, we talked about the architect RFP results, noting that SEI was named as the district's architect. We also talked about the construction management RFP results, noting that campus construction would be retained for some future work that we're considering. We talked about the December 2021 capital project, potential voter referendum, and we indicated that we would have a kickoff meeting on May 11th. That has already occurred. We talked about hiring a seasonal grounds person. This is something that we discussed last year before COVID, to have a seasonal grounds person that would come in likely in the early spring and stay until fall to help with lining fields and mowing and things of that nature. We talked about, from a finance perspective, transportation aid take back, that the states has now indicated that any standby costs that occurred at the start, well, not directly at the start of the pandemic, but from May 8th, when the decision was made that they were no longer doing those 2-week extensions, that we would be off indefinitely from May 8th till the end of the school year. And they said that now they're not going to give us transportation aid on any salaries or benefits we paid to employees who we didn't lay off at that time, because we made the prudent decision of retaining our employees and continuing to pay them so that they didn't go and seek other employment, and we would have had a really difficult job starting back in September had we not done that. And then we talked about 3+1. 3+1 is a firm that looks to maximize interest earnings, any liquid cash that we have on hand. And so we're like an investment firm, and they're going to come in and help us look at some creative ways to be getting more interest off of our secure investments. And then that meeting ended. So that was the entirety of the meeting. Any questions?
Questions or comments?
Thank you.
Moving on to Education Foundation update.
Well, we have a meeting coming up tomorrow night where it's our last meeting of the year until next fall. They'll be happy to hear they did a campaign where they sent letters to each of the Hall of Fame members, and several checks have come in to help support the foundation. And tomorrow night they'll be looking at giving some Elton scholarships. So we'll have some money to use, which is nice. So a relatively low investment in stamps and high return in our alumni giving back to the district. So that'll be exciting to go over tomorrow evening.
Thank you very much, sir. Moving on to approval of consensus agenda. Motion to approve the consensus agenda. Motion, please. Mr. Long and Ms. Coffey, questions or comments? All in favor? The vote is unanimous. Thank you very much. Motion to approve the consensus.
Yeah, they gotta approve it first. They approve it first. Yep, go ahead.
Got it. Thank you. I appreciate you having that right. Motion to approve the consensus items C through G. Dr. Richards? Ms. Coffey, questions or comments? All in favor? Opposed? You got that book?
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Ms. Carruthers?
Yes, we have 3 retirements to the board just approved related have Theodore or Teddy Lester, who's a cleaner at Walt Disney. He's been with us for 21 years. And last but certainly not least, we have Art Gervin, who's been a bus driver for us for 39 years. And has been our driver of the year in the past as well that we've honored. So we wish all of our retirees well in retirement. Thank them for their years of service.
Thank you very much, Ms. Bravo. Moving on, motion to approve the construction management agreement. Motion, please. Mr. Bailey and Mr. Bailey. Questions or comments? All in favor? Frank, was that that was a unanimous vote. Thank you very much. Motion to approve the architect agreement. Motion, please. Mr. Long and Dr. Richards, questions or comments? All in favor? Vote is unanimous. Thank you very much. Motion to approve the resolution of probationary instruction staff agreement for Henry Dean in the 10-year area of music. Motion, please. Mr. Long, Ms. Kais, questions or comments? All in favor? Vote is unanimous. Thank you very much. Motion to approve the resolution for non-instruction referral incentive for current staff members. Motion, please. Mr. Long and Mr. Andy Bailey, questions or comments? All in favor? Opposed? So, one opposed, Frank Moscato. Thank you very much. Moving on to superintendent comments.
We had some very good financial news recently. Our last large bond sale for our current $68 million capital project occurred on last Thursday. The bond is valued at a little over $18 million. We had 7 bidders. The winning bid went to R.W. Baird for an incredibly low 1.56% NIC or net interest cost. The original estimated interest when the project was first designed in 2018 was 4%. So with a rate of 1.56%, the district will save somewhere in the range of $5 million over the course of the payback schedule. This is great news for us. And again, I'd like to congratulate again our students that went above and beyond and earned the seal by literacy. Their intrinsic motivation and dedication to excellence was evidenced tonight. We have an advocacy letter going out that was sent out to our governor, the Department of Health, and local leaders. Read into the record that the Monroe County Superintendents put together in hopes of them listening so that when we're advocating for what we need so that we can be open in the fall. Dear Governor Cuomo, we have been greatly encouraged by your recent comments assuring New Yorkers that K-12 students will make a full in-person return to school in September. We are united in our deeply held belief that the path to a full recovery from the pandemic must include a full in-person reopening for all students as soon as possible. Throughout the pandemic, each school district and BOCES in Monroe County have worked hard to implement public health guidelines with fidelity and in a spirit of collaboration with state and local health authorities. It is in that same spirit of collaboration that we write to you today to advocate for measures that we believe to be practical, safe, and essential for a full reopening to become a reality. Please give consideration to the following recommendations from the Monroe County Council of School Superintendents. First, remote learning. A decision to offer remote learning should be made by local boards of education based on local circumstances and capacity. Districts offering remote learning should be allowed to create local criterion for program participation, and the state should support the development of regional remote learning programs. Social distancing and masking. Given the high degree of vaccination and exceedingly rare evidence of school transmission, a specific distance requirement should be eliminated. In alignment with the most recent CDC guidance, masking outdoors should not be required at any time. We wrote this on Friday when everything changed. Indoor masking should be based on local data and be determined in collaboration with our local health department. and schools will not be required to collect vaccination data. Testing of students and staff should not be required, but surveillance testing should be offered as an option for a school to remain open if rates increase in the school or district. Micrometrics and school rates. Infection rates used for the opening or closing decision should be based on school-specific infection rates, not countywide. Assurances and procedures. We recommended cleaning and disinfection procedures should be updated based on current science regarding surface transmission. This has not been updated since last August. The daily health screening or process requirement should be eliminated. Schools have long communicated the quote, "stay home when you're sick," end quote message, and the use of the screener has become so routine as to completely mitigate its usefulness. Vaccination. Allow vaccination rates for individual schools to allow for school or district-based flexibility and capacity requirements if masking and distancing requirements remain in place. Capacity. Eliminate outdoor capacity requirements. If indoor requirements remain, consider vaccination rates to allow for additional flexibility. Other guidance and consideration. Modify current guidance for interscholastic athletics, performing arts, physical education, food and transportation services to align with the recommendations above. Thank you for considering these suggestions. As we have from the beginning of the pandemic, we stand ready to work with you as partners in providing the best experience we can for all children and families while prioritizing their safety and the safety of our school communities and staff. And it's signed by every superintendent in Monroe County. The 5th grade track meet. One of the neatest events occurred last Thursday and Friday. We had the legendary Sam Utter calling the meet. It was great. The term "stay in your lane" was said well over 100 times each day. The kids had a blast. I thoroughly enjoyed one time when there was a race and 3 of the parents, or 5 kids racing, 3 of the kids' parents were running down the sideline trying to cheer them on. They all successfully stood up as they did it. But it was awesome to see. The families that showed up had a blast. The kids just had great spirit, and everyone had a great time. Again, thank you to Dr. Irving and our PE staff that really made a wonderful experience for our kids, and it was great to see Sam Utter up there calling it. It was just a great day for the kids to have some fun together against other elementary schools in our district. Next is our remote families. We have some events coming up for them, and we sent out a letter to them saying it's hard to believe we are heading to the final weeks of our school year that you and your child or children will surely never forget. I want to take a moment to express our appreciation once again for your flexibility, perseverance, and commitment throughout the many twists and turns we experienced this year. We have all grown in many ways since September, and there's much to reflect on and celebrate. Please review the attached flyer to learn more about a few important dates coming up later this month. Our K-5 remote meet and greet at Lions Park will be June 22nd from 12 to 3. Supply return will be the week of June 21st. Your laptop return is on June 24th and June 25th. And we hope that many can make our remote meet and greet at Lions Park. It'll be a great way to spend time safely outdoors with your classmates and teachers. So we're excited to offer that to our kids that have not stepped foot on school grounds this year, to try and give them a celebration as well as what we'll be doing at each of the schools. Be very excited. Make sure you tune in to Fox Channel 7 or 31, depending on who you have, on Tuesday, June 29th at 7 p.m. The Dr. Michael C. O'Loughlin Outstanding Senior Recognition Television Program will go on that night. Our representative from Gage Charlie is Blake Siplin, who won the award for us. So, lastly, for tonight, we have 2 presentations from the Monroe County School Boards. One is for the co-chairing a committee, and it goes to Ms. Carrie Kives as co-chairperson of the Information Exchange Committee. And the next one is an award for retiring by choice. It goes to Andy Bailey, in grateful appreciation for your service as a Board of Education member for the Monroe County School Boards Association. And the district will be showing their appreciation when you come to your last meeting on the 22nd. That is my report, sir.
Thank you very much, Superintendent Kenny. Motion to adjourn. Mike Bailey and Vince Coffey.
All in favor?
Vote is unanimous. We are adjourned.
That's the one I showed you.